Tepanki Pichan, the Working Families Tax Credit. Uchiba Jeju, Bokalukun Chamu many a tip copy, umile nangisent kitabu nchamna babu. Wow! Koye kajoti tipilipi, pilipu wali pikambipi, gunungu baki, pili February, gunungu baki, 2023. We mom Washington State chundi puwole betendebi. Chit pisiyang America. Unchamu ichidiba tiat. Deka nora no chimpumpi yakata sikata. Koye kilentu ibokolo kachika mbeko, wina bokolo. Te betendebi, chit nem lempat. A chipurba nyamblin. Betendebi, we kanaba nat. A chipurba mekune bekatu fosa, barany. Pur putenkukul, upur putu uchak, upepu yaka. Chimngalp meko njentwe. Natalegi, duan wawak. Gitab, kanyang, guant, gitab, guant, kanyang, gitab ulole, guant, nangitab. O kurubu kultingi, gibakir, gitab, kanyang, pajnyolong, kanyang, kuwas, guant, gitab, paj, na kuwas nolong.
Before we start the meeting, I just want us to pray in our own ways to grace Minister Usman Ba, Minister for Communication and Digital Economy, and with his cabinet minister, Mr. Babukar Boy, who is the Minister for the Public Service, and Honorable Minister Lamin Queen Jame, the Minister of Information, who have joined their colleague to grace this occasion. We also have in our midst the deputy spokesperson, who's representing the spokesperson of the government, the Director General of PURA, who's also with us to grace this occasion. Welcome, my brother. And the Deputy Permanent Secretaries, senior officials, and Director General of DGL, journalists present here with us. We say good morning to you all and welcome to the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. I'm sure we're all aware of the creation of this ministry in May, and a minister was appointed in May, but he took office in July 2022. This will be the first press conference since he took office and also since the creation of the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. And the press conference is to share the achievements registered so far and other activities of the sector. The ministry wants to be having a continuous dialogue with the press and to keep the general public abreast with developments in the sector. And this will be a continuous event, and we hope you will always be there when we request your presence. And I know you always do, and you will be there. We also want to acknowledge a friend of ours who joined us, Mr. Paul. He's a visitor from the US to the ministry. He's with us today to grace this occasion. On that note, Mr. Babukar Prince Sankanu will be chairing this press conference on behalf of the government spokesperson. So I'll give him the mic, and so that he continues with the chairing of the press conference. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Information, Lamin Queen Jame, and Honorable Minister of Public Service Delivery, Honorable Babukar Boy, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. As you are rightly aware, one of the mandates of the government spokesperson is to chair government press conferences, and we've decided to adopt a policy of proactive communication. We've been criticized that the government is not communicating, and then as a responsible and a sensible government, we've decided to come up with this strategy of always communicating. And it is within this principle that, we have the new Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy here today to update you. And as the Permanent Secretary rightly said, the government created this ministry to respond to the needs of the 21st century Gambia. As we know, we are seeing massive transformations and disruptions in the global economy thanks to the information technology. And Gambia as a country, we should not be left behind. And we've seen the classical example is the ongoing birth certificate registration which is going on, showing the link how important when the government takes the lead in this digital transformation, what it can benefit. So that's a classical example of how the citizens can directly benefit from the digital dividend. Without taking much time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister Usman Eba to update you on the achievements and progress made so far since the creation of his ministry in May 2022. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I am here today. First, let me begin by thanking each and every one of you for taking your time to witness this press conference. Before I start my list of achievement and go into the agenda, I just want to pause a minute to say thank my staff, first of all, and thank my colleagues who have been here to support me, and also to thank our new PS, and also thanks the Director General of PURA, Yusufa Job, and everybody, including the media. We appreciate you, and we are blessed to have you here today. Now, the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy was founded by His Excellency, Mr. Adama Barrow. His Excellency took the bold step, realizing the importance of digital transformation. And for that reason, he sees the importance of a nation to develop in the era we are in. For the fourth revolution, we have to go digital. On that note, I think we are all clear since this ministry have been established, it's been a roller coaster, non-stop. For the last 6 months, since I've been in office, we have done a lot. And based on that, I think it is important for us today to face our citizens of this country, to share with them who we are and what we do and where we want to go. Many people in this country don't know what this ministry does. In time of communication and digital economy, when we talk about digital economy, what do we mean? When we talk about communication, what do we mean? These two are the drivers of any success nation in the global world. Looking at all our 22 ministries we have in this country, each and every one of them is tied to us. There is nothing each of these ministries does without using technology or ICT. That's why we are the pillar, the umbrella to lead and drive the digital transformation of the Republic of the Gambia. On that note, I want to start with our accomplishment. In 2022, the first accomplishment our ministry achieved was the LTE. We deployed 4 LTE stations in this country. One in Banjul, one in Serekunda, one in Kotu, and one in Abuko. When you hear LTE on the layman term, what does that mean? There's a tower that are built in this station, where you can connect to the internet through your dongles, through your wireless routers. They give you access to the internet. We provided this to the vision for this was to provide it to all the ministry, 22 ministry we have. The CPE routers are issued for offices, while the internet dongle are issued to officials. The 4 base stations, as I mentioned, our goal was to achieve 8, and we are working on that. So far, we have implemented 4 in 2022. The next is the digital addressing in this country. We know in order to achieve our vision in terms of digitalization, we have to digitalize every single address in this country. What are the benefits for doing that? There's already a pilot project that was successfully implemented in Banjul, the city of Banjul, which is the council of BCC. We completed 2,464 addresses digitally, covering all properties. The second phase was implemented in Kanifing Municipality, KMC, in partnership with the council, a total of 32,000 addresses, bordering all properties. The third project is we are working on the West Coast currently as we speak. According to the survey conducted with our team, 48,770 addresses have been identified to be digitalized in the Combo North. The area council indicating that the good percentage of the properties are not captured in the property database. Once the addresses are captured, the ABC is expected to generate significant increase of revenue, because we are going to be able to identify what is a single home, what is a rental properties. So when it comes to taxation, this is very important to have these addresses digitalized and be in the database of the municipality. Number 3 achievement, the revival of the government email system. Since we had our independence in 1965, I could not remember that the government or any of the government, previous government, having an email platform. We took the bold step when I came to office that this is a mission by January 1st, 2023, every single employee of the government in the civil service will have an email address. And we have accomplished that. Thanks to my team, the new collaboration email platform was launched officially by our team, including iSwap, which is our partners. So today, there are 2,500 emails that have been generated, that have been allocated for the government, for the public service. Every ministry have been written to submit how many staff they want to have that email address. We will no longer be using Gmail or Yahoo as a government official to send message to our partners or any other government entity internally and globally. And we are also have accomplished a draft of the email policy. Having email is great, but also you need the policy to govern how this email is going to be used. This policy will be tabled to cabinet in the next cabinet session for final approval. Number 4, the significant and ratification of the AU Malabo Convention of the Cybersecurity Personal Data Protection. For 2 years, it has been sitting collecting dust in one of our ministries. The Gambia signed the convention in November 2022 during the Global Internet Governance Forum held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. the convention gives the country an opportunity to be part of a global community in the enforcement of cybersecurity-related matters. It also gives the country an opportunity to collaborate with partners in the fight against cybercrime. Additionally, it allows for collaboration in the protection and fundamental right and public freedom, particularly in the protection of physical data. It also gives the country the opportunity to collaborate in the capacity of building specialized training on issues relating to cybersecurity and others signatory. These are some of the benefits for having this AU Malabo signed last year, December. Thanks to Malang Bass. He was a big player, a big contributor to making sure this happened. Number 5, Cabinet adopted the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy. What are the benefits for having this adopted? The National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy adopted by the Cabinet seek to build a robust national capability, at a strategic and operational level with a program to identify and prevent, protect, and detect and respond and manage the threat of critical information infrastructure. It is the guiding document to achieving the cybersecurity agenda. The policy is also envisioned the harmonization of a national cybersecurity policy and program, including the institutional foundation with cybersecurity protection across all sectors. The strategy includes a cost implementation roadmap to achieve the cybersecurity agenda. Number 6, the Cybercrime Bill. The Cybercrime Bill is the law guiding all cybercrime-related activities. The bill was adopted in Cabinet with some few amendments. The bill is expected to be submitted to the National Assembly for consideration for adoption to become a law in this country. The bill provides for cyber fingerprint infringement for investigating cyber crimes and other criminal fragment committed by means of computer systems and other connected matters. Number 7, the ECOWAS free roaming. In 2017, we signed an agreement being part of the ECOWAS member states to be part of the free roaming in the 15 ECOWAS member states. The regulation on ECOWAS free roaming was tabled in Cabinet earlier this month. The regulation seeks to eliminate the charges relating to roaming across the ECOWAS region. This adoption of the regulation will bring more revenue to the telecom as a result of increase the volume of more customers will use the roaming when they travel within the ECOWAS region. It will also serve as a cost saving for consumers in charge of relation to roaming calls. It will also decrease the burden on consumers trying to get local SIM card whenever they travel out of the countries. For example, if you travel once this implementation is completed, if you travel to Senegal, you can use your Gambian SIM card. You will no longer need to buy a SIM card in Senegal. Number 8, the feasibility of the establishment of Tech Hub at the UTG and Regional Innovation Hub across the country. The feasibility study was conducted by the University of the Gambia Research and Consultancy Directorate. The study will seek to adopt the right strategy to implement and sustain a tech hub at the UTG. The study also seeks and advise on implementation model of the innovation hub across the country and their sustainability. The Tech and Innovation Hub are expected to pour research and development and entrepreneurship. It will also serve as an incubation of hub and provide a conducive environment for startup. Number 9, signing an agreement with the Digital Corporation known as DOC in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy signed an agreement with the DOC as one of the founding member growth of the digital economy. There are only 3 countries in Africa that qualified or was adopted to be part of this membership: Nigeria, Rwanda, and Gambia. We are proud to be part of this. The DCO seek and enable digital prosperity for all, accelerating the inclusive growth of the digital economy. The Gambia is expected to benefit tremendously from the series of cooperation in capacity building programs, sharing knowledge, feasibility studies, and implementation of key digital projects, etc. These are the 9 significant achievements the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy has achieved in 2022. Again, I can express how grateful I am to my staff and to the support of a leader, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow. We know we have a lot of work to do, and we can only achieve this by working together and collaborating together and being transparent to each other and supporting each other. We can accomplish our vision and our mission. Now, what this ministry overall are going to do for the next 3 to 5 years. What are our vision? Who we are, what we do. We are the ministry that would transform this country from a poverty to a prosperity, from a dependency to an independent. This ministry is responsible for generating the revenue for this country, to drive this country from being a dependent country to a sustainable and independent country. And I am positive we will achieve this. How are we going to do this? There are several pillars, foundation we have to set in order to achieve our goal for this country. And there are only 5 for now. 1 is the second submarine cable. It is highly needed in this country. We hear everywhere we go, from the barber shop to the supermarket to the taxi drivers, internet is very expensive in this country. Accessibility. Closing the digital divide. With the second submarine cable, will give us more capacity and provide us more access to reduce the cost of our internet in this country. That's one area. 2, in order to secure, would lead me to the next pillar, next priorities, which is the data center. there are several layers when it comes to data center. You have what we call tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. In the Gambia today, we don't have a tier 3 or tier 4 data center. Our vision is to get a tier 4 data center in this country. What would that do for us as a nation? Today in Africa, there is only 2 countries that has a tier 4 data center. One, I would say Mauritius, we consider it part of Africa. 2 is Nigeria, which is yet to be inaugurated, but they have a tier 4 data center. In the layman term, what does that mean to have a tier 4 data center? Tier 4 would allow us to secure the licensing of Microsoft, Amazon, and Google as well. We can sell these services to all the other regions that are within our area, the sub-Sahara region. Number one. Number two, it will attract international investors. Knowing that we have a tier 4, they can host their data here securely without any challenges. Most of our data in this country, if you talk to enterprises, banks, most of these are hosted out of this country. But most importantly, the revenue it's going to generate. The investment capital for a data center tier 4, you're looking about 50 million to 70, give and take, million US dollars. But with that investment, this country can earn triple, quadruple of that amount in 2 years. Why and how? I will give you an example. A customer who is hosting one of their databases today in the US, paying $3,500 annually for this database. Think about how many of those customers we have that have several different databases in this country. If you are to charge them, let's say 500 customers, charge them only $2,000, way cheaper than what they would pay in the US. Multiply that 2,000 by 500, just an example. 1. 2, is also give our government the security to host our data securely without having to worry about any cloud, as many people concern private or public cloud hosting. It also differentiates us. Today, if you are hosting any of your data in the cloud and you want to retrieve this data and you are in the Gambia or Senegal or Nigeria for that matter, if you are hosting it at Amazon Cloud, the closest location you can retrieve your data to pull it is UK and South Africa. We want to have our own. The second priority, followed up, is the one that wakes me in the middle of the night, which is our national payment gateway switch. We are working very, very hard as we speak with our partner, the central bank. We can say this for sure. We will get a payment gateway switch very soon. And I know the media is waiting. What is very soon? Very soon this year. We will have that. What does payment gateway means to Gambians, to everybody listening? Today, every transaction we do in this country, most of them, I would say 97%, are cash transactions. Maybe when you go to the hotel, you can dip your card. Maybe they have a VX520 terminal or Deja Vu terminal or POS for that matter. The money that this government can gain in terms of payment gateway is a lot. Not only that, but the merchants. I want to focus a little bit on the merchants. I am somebody who have a store at the corner of Kairaba Avenue. Usman Bakam to buy something. I looked at my pocket. I don't have a cash. I forgot to go to the bank, or I don't have time to go and stand on the line. But I have my card. It's so easy, or my barcode on my phone. I can tap my barcode or dip my card. And Mr. Merchant, you get your money by midnight in your account. How quick and fast. Now, if you don't have the electronic transaction, Usman Ba would have gone because he don't have cash. We have always his phone with him or his credit card in his pocket. So this is the advantage for every merchant in this country that sell product or services. You should be lining on the street to cry and vet for this payment gateway to happen. It would increase your revenue. It will give you cash flow, and it would help you to manage your inventory. Secondly, how many people come to this country? Tourists that come to our country. Most of them, I would say 90%, prefer to use their card. They go to Banjul market or they go to Serekunda market. Everything they pay is cash. It would be more easier and profitable for them to use their card if we were able to provide a barcode to those merchants or a terminal to accept this transaction. It is critical we achieve this payment gateway switch. And our e-commerce platform, a lot of our young startup, young Gambians have built a lot of e-commerce sites. And today they are just waiting for that payment gateway to be activated or turned on or to go live so they can plug in and build their portal and start selling these services globally and internally. I can't express how critical it is for us to achieve this payment gateway this year. The fourth one is the e-governance. When we talk about e-governance, all these are important, but the e-governance, if we want to serve our citizens effectively and efficiently, the e-governance is the way to go. A couple weeks ago, I was in Banjul. I see that people are lined up to get their passport or their ID. I'll use that as an example. If there was an e-governance, a centralized database where all these ministries can plug in with their website, you can go online today at Ministry of Interior, for that matter, and fill all the information at your house without leaving your home. What does that do? The first most important thing, our traffic is so congested. It will reduce people driving from here to Banjul or from here to wherever we secure passport or provide passport. Number one. Number two, it would even generate more revenue for our government quicker and faster because people sometimes are hesitant or even don't have the money. Sometimes even to go to take fare or the hassle they have to go through to come from Basse or Farafenye for that matter or Kerewan just to get a passport. Unless it's really, really critical, they don't have to go through, they must have the passport for that matter. But if they can sit in Kerewan and fill that form, even on their mobile, and hit submit, all the document, make payment on their phone, and all they have to do, get a text message, say your passport is ready, come for pickup, or we can send it to you. That's where the digital address comes. These are all tied together. So the e-governance is something we have to achieve before too long. The fifth one, which is the national digital ID card. This is another one that wakes me in the middle of the night. In any country in this world, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot manage and control and provide effective and efficient services for your citizen without having a digital ID, a national digital ID. I think it is the foundation, the pillar, that where we need to start to make sure that today, if I want to know how many farmers we have in this country, if I want to know how many people graduate from university last year or next year who will be graduating, if I want to know how many retirees are coming 2023 in this government, if I want to know how many babies were born last week, their parent status, employment status, if I want to know how many kids has dropped out from college or from high school, it is very difficult to find this in one single database today. Of course, I agree. All these other sectors or ministry have their own data, but the data are not feeding each other. They are not talking to each other. With a digital ID card, you can have one single number that would follow you from the day you were born to the day you left this earth. Your school record is there, your driving record, your criminal record, if you have one, your medical record. You go to health today, you present that card, they enter the card, they see everything about your medical record. They know where you work, they know if you have insurance, if you don't, this all is in your record. You go apply for a job to work for Foreign Affairs. I'll use that as an example. Foreign Affairs want to know if you have any record. Are you clean in this country? They can punch your number. It's linked to the database of the SIS and the police and immigration. And these data all feed to each other and give them a report. Yes, this person is clean. He have no criminal record, or for that matter, had encountered any problem with the government for that matter in the past. So I think digital ID is a must. It is a must. That's the only way we can manage our government and provide effective and efficient services. So I think when it comes to the internet, I want to share with our citizens, yes, the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is responsible for all communication and internet in this services, in this country, excuse me. The sectors that are under us, I think it's important to share those sectors with the citizen of this country. GAMTEL is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. GAMCEL is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. The Postal Services is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. The Digital Gambia is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. These four sectors are under our ministry. There is one that have been established, is yet to be fully formed or conformed, which is the GICTA, the ITC agency. We are in the process of recruiting the Director General for the ICT agency to recommend to the President to select one of the recommended candidates. And that would happen very, very shortly. And that agency would lead and help to drive the digitalization of this country. We know as a government, we cannot do it all. We are going to work very hard with the private sector and help them as they would help us. Join as a team, as partners, and drive this country to provide the services our citizens deserve. All these things we discuss are great, but they are huge, huge capital investment. I'm sure there are areas we can explore to make sure that we achieve this in phases. But the most important thing, in order to achieve all this technology evolve, technology change, it is important our ministry start to look into, which we are, in policy direction. We have to create the policy that would govern the technology that would drive us to where we need to go. In Nigeria, 14% of their GDP came from the digital ministry, the digital economy ministry. In Rwanda, 11% of their GDP of their country come from the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. In Mauritius, 11 or 12%, I think, yes, 12% of their GDP came from the ICT ministry. So we can all agree that the ICT ministry must succeed. And I plead to my colleagues in cabinet to support us, as I'm sure they will, but continue to build this collaboration we started. As you can see today, the Minister of Information Service is here, and the Minister of Civil Service is here as well, to show support and to know that we want to get things done. My staff, again, I continue to say my staff because Usman Ba alone cannot do it. I don't care how smart you are, how intelligent, how bright you are. No man is an island. It is only your people that are behind you can make you succeed. And I value you, and I continue to value you, and I treasure your commitment. With that, I think this is what I wanted to share with you this evening or this morning. I appreciate you listening, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Indeed, the decision by His Excellency President Adama Barrow, who has the executive powers vested on him by Section 76 of our national constitution, 1997 constitution, to create new ministries. It was a wise done. All this boils down to leadership. If you have the leadership and the vision, the rest will follow. Cabinet, as you say, we have collective responsibility in cabinet, and ministries are regulated through already constitutionally. If you go through Section 81 of the Constitution, talks about the administration of the ministry. So it's teamwork, and the political will is there, and that's the bottom line. Political will. We can have all these beautiful ideas, policies here and there, but if the political will is not there, we'll only just be moving in circles. And it's really encouraging, and it's important. And he talk about digital ID, which is very crucial, and it's the standard if you go to most of the countries today, and we can really derive a lot. And technology is evolutionary, it keeps changing, and then the convenience is there. A good example is this Nopal. People used to use the scratch card, but everybody is convenient. You call your shopkeeper to deliver. So the convenience, and also the issue of capturing the address, that is the basis. You look at the benefits. Although he mentioned taxation, automatically people also, they will be sensitive to that, but we are a tax-based economy. But look at the benefits. If your address is captured, the services that are delivered. I remember during the COVID-19 palliative distribution, we had a lot of challenges. Many people couldn't be captured. But if at all we had an elaborate national ID or database system, every person in this country would have benefited. So it means that, you are going to benefit from the services that are going to be delivered by the state. In case of emergency, ambulances can locate you. If somebody is missing, it can easily be identified. So you look at the benefits, and it goes along with digital literacy. We can have all these things, the technical jargons that he's talking about, tier 1, and 2, the layman will not understand. So digital literacy is very important, and this is an aspect that I believe that the ministry will give priority. And then the decoupling of the two ministries. Initially, when people were asking, I say that, it's going to free additional capacity and to be delivered on time. You see, within 12 months or within a relative short period of time, they've put their house in order, and both ministries are working in tandem to ensure that, we deliver the services to the citizens. On that note, honorable ministers, fellow government officials and the journalists, all the media personnel attached, we'd like to move into the question and answer session. As usual, be brief. Today is Friday. As customary, some of us would like to go to, we work 24 hours, but there are others you have to go either to the mosque or you go back to the editorial board to work on your stories before the deadline. So I believe there is an extra mic that should go around. And then as usual, you introduce yourself, your media.
Let me make sure I understood your question correctly. The first question was, how do you access a record of a citizen of this country in terms of what you just stated? Somebody who killed somebody and you want to know about when they checked in the hotel, what time, who they are, where they live, so forth. My brother, I can agree with you more. This is important. It's a valid question, but this can only be achieved by two things. One, yes, the digital addressing the digital ID card is one of the problem solver for that. Because today, if you go to Rwanda, let me use that as an example, because it's something I have seen in my eye. From the time you get out of the airport to the time you get to the hotel, I'm not saying Gambia should be Rwanda. Let me make that clear. They know when you left the airport, what hotel you checked in. All that information is with them to the time you leave the country, if you are not a citizen of that country. So the digital ID is one of the things that would address that issue in terms of data. Because if you don't have data, you cannot retrieve it. One. Two, the other follow-up question was why we go to the Ministry of, was it Youth Sports or Ministry of, the association. So there has to be a policy that drive or regulation what a citizen, whoever that may be, whether it's the media or a private citizen for that matter, how much information they're allowed to access. There has to be a regulation or a policy that is to be done either by the Ministry of Interior or the Ministry of Justice. That would not be a Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy role to regulate or to put those regulations or act or policy, whichever fits in that regard. So hope that answers your question.
Let me, Honorable, thank you very much for the question. And I thank my colleague, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, for the conference. The generation of public information is the responsibility of public institutions. The process of digitalization, if you like, is a generalized system of using electronics in every sphere of life, so that an electronic system is used to generate information and of course have a center of central storage, so that anytime it is needed, it could be accessed and be utilized. The reason why government has appointed information ministers and enacted into law the access to information law is to operationalize that right of the citizenry to access information. We must equally appreciate that it has to start somewhere. It might not have been in existence the way we like it, but equally important is that if we also don't start now, when shall we start? We may therefore start from a point and grow with all the challenges that we may be confronted with the hope that they would be overcome in due course. I hope this satisfies your answer.
Thank you. And the Honorable Minister made
I think I believe that when it comes to increase of pricing with the internet, I have been since July, I would say actually, I have been engaged with all the GSM operators working together, looking at the pricing that you just discussed. They have expressed their concern, and this was one of the reasons why I brought all the private sectors in one room back in October, for them to tell us their challenges, share the best practices, what they are going through. We are aware, but I believe there is one thing for sure they have expressed, and we are willing to listen and continue to work with them on that. In terms of when you say, with all these other sectors raising their price, how can we prevent or stop them not raising their price? I think some of their concerns, which they have strongly expressed to me, is their taxes that they are paying. We looked at 6 areas, or maybe 4 to 6 areas that they were concerned about. And as a government, yes, we need to work in a partnership. But actually, the route we are going, not for them to increase, but to reduce the cost of internet. And in order to reduce the cost of internet, we looked at all the countries in Africa. We ranked number 37 out of 43. So if we look at in fair assessment, when you look at 1 gig or gigabytes costing $248, when in Senegal, it costs you almost only 40% of that. What are we doing wrong? It is time for us to put those regulations that I was talking about and policy that would enable these private sectors to drive to growth. If a private sector, for example, I'll share this with you, want to put a cell tower in Kawur today, it might cost them $150,000. But one area maybe the government, as a government, we can think about down the line is how can we incentivize this investment for them to be able to have this rollout so they can maximize their profit by having more customers. Because if you are investing from the West where I came from, those investment can be tax deduction at the end of the year. This is one way, I'm just using that as an example, where we can come and work together and help. Now, all the other taxes, yes, we will look at them, we'll see where it's reasonable, where it's fair. If it's possible, we will work with them. But internet cost in this country, you agree with me or you disagree with me, is way too high, period.
Let me have a second question to that. You mentioned, of course, the advent, if there's a possibility of a second cable, maritime cable, would help reduce that. In the interim, one at a time, because we talk to them, we always talk to them, we raise these questions to why is internet expensive? And they would tell you that they too are experiencing the same problems in terms of prices of the equipments and the importation and all kinds of things that all the sectors are experiencing. They are experiencing similar things, even worse, because they have to do with foreign currencies, etc., etc. So at the moment, they are struggling. I mean, able to stay. To have their business, to stay, to float in their business. So the fear is that one day they might be compelled to increase their fares, in which case nobody still want the price. So as we've seen in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, people are protesting the cost of internet. And also the argument has been that your government has once made this argument that it's because of the limited users of internet in this country. Of course, that is the population, they said. We are arguing that the bigger the population, the cheaper the data will be. How valid is that?
No, thank you very much again. I think when you look at pricing, I'm going to wear my sales hat here a little bit. Volume is critical. When I had this conversation with them, if you look at the pricing structure they have today, let me use my village as an example. Somebody sitting at Yalalba who has no job, no income of whatsoever unless somebody gives them something. They cannot afford the lowest price, which I think is 8 meg, they sell, or 4, something like that, which I believe is like 20, what is it? I think it's $80. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. They cannot afford that. But what I see with them is I think it is important you look at your strategy, go-to-market strategy in terms of their pricing. Create something that we call WhatsApp package. Because in the rural area, I would say 80% of the people who use internet there, they only use it for WhatsApp to talk to their loved one from abroad or internally here. Don't do the same price structure in the urban area where the disposable income is way far higher than the disposable income in the urban area. And the feedback I got from them based on that conversation was one of the best recommendations they had since they start engaging with our ministry. Sometime, Mr. Lamin, these prices, even the government itself doesn't have a control. Let's say you import, you buy a product in the US or in UK or in India for whatever the price is. You bring it here in this country. You are obligated to pay some taxes, duty taxes. The government even incentivizing some of those taxes for this. If we were to use what we call the HS code, which is every product is tied, every commodity is tied to what we call the HS code, the harmonization code. That tell you the price, the market price of that product globally. So meaning if we were to use this today and tax everybody for the duty tax that they're supposed to pay to bring their product in this country, they weren't able to sustain. So I want to make that very clear. The government has realized that, and they are not using us currently the right taxes for the code, because if they do, some people cannot even afford it to do that. So we are doing as much as we can on those aspects. So when you say they buy this equipment, they bring it, yes, it's expensive, but we are not charging them the full taxes they're supposed to pay in terms of what I just mentioned, the HS code. But yes, I agree, prices are expensive all over globally. We see what happened in Ukraine and other countries. Everywhere you go, prices are expensive. I feel it myself as a civil servant. I go to the supermarket. The prices I used to pay a year ago is different from what I pay now. I understand that, but that doesn't mean we cannot try and continue to work with them to see where we can meet halfway to help them not to go into the price increase that you're talking about. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
What a great question. Let me share this with you. In terms of the going out of Birkama, not getting access to 4G. One thing I want to stress, with the capital investment that we were just talking about for any of the GSM operators to build cell towers in the rural area is very expensive. And there's no incentive for them to put those towers in that area. So the density, about 40% of the Gambian population live around this area. So that's one aspect. Now, you say even in the combos here, sometimes internet access is a problem. I have talked to many and several engineers, system administrators in this country, the bride of the brightest. And we all concluded the way our infrastructure is set up in this country is not the best. And let me go into a little bit detail. Some of the equipment that this company use to roll out their infrastructure, the boxes, from here, let's say to Bundung, from Bundung to Bakau, or let's say from here, Bundung to Latrikunda, Latrikunda to, don't quote me because I'm trying to, I'm not familiar with the geographic that much, but I know from here, let's say from here to Latrikunda, Latrikunda to Yundum, Yundum to Brikama. Now you have 4 rings, okay? So these boxes, most of them are not licensed. What do I mean by that? When you don't have the license to use these boxes, you are limited how many customers you can put on that bandwidth. So because it's so expensive for the license, most of, not all, this ISP don't have the money to buy the licensing. So they ride on that free 10 customers, for example. And what happened? My brother, it get congested. So when you're trying to download a video or go to YouTube or Facebook, you see that hourglass rolling. So what happened? I'll use this. Yeah. I will use this as an example, this bottle of water. Let's say the cover is me, the network is the water, the cover is the infrastructure. So here is what happened, the bandwidth, sorry. What happened, let's say 10 of us are in that Brikama, for example, there's a tower there, a box. So we know how Brikama congested it is in population. So everybody try to ride on that bandwidth and it get full. What happened? When you roll the water like this, right? What happened if the bandwidth get full? They try to divert those customers to somewhere that they shut it completely down, sometimes. And now you say, why I can't access, why I can't get to the internet. By the time you try to, that bandwidth to be free, your data is finished. You go, oh my goodness, these people are ripping me off. No, they are not. Because you've been trying to get access to that bandwidth, and by the time the bandwidth is free, where you can now have the amount of bandwidth you need to download that video, your data is gone. So the infrastructure is a challenge. That's one of the things our ministry is, our ministry is working with these private sectors. So we will definitely, it is on our agenda actually. That's why we call all of them in one room and speak to them to find out some of the challenges they have. So looking at that, what was your last part of the question in the combo area? The accessibility, that's one of the reasons, but what was the other part? Yes, that was the bandwidth, congestion of bandwidth. The way the infrastructure is set up it needs some work, a lot of work. So now one thing I forgot to mention, I want to share with everybody is the universal access line, which would address the rural area in terms of accessibility, so, and connectivity. And the infrastructure sharing, which we are working, we're going to start working on these regulations. Infrastructure sharing has to be a must in this country. And you cannot do infrastructure sharing until you have the regulation. I want it like yesterday. Believe me, I get a lot of calls from the GSM operator. We want to roll our fiber. Why not? We want to roll fiber out. But you cannot roll fiber and give everybody access to roll fiber in this country when there is no regulation, because you would see pole everywhere. It would be a madhouse. We cannot do that. But believe me, this is why our president realized all these challenges we are having, and the government established this ministry. So it is part of our job to make sure that we address these things and work with the necessary stakeholder to get these things fixed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
We are looking for recruitment. Can you come join us? Thank you very much. I am part of the diasporas. I was once a diaspora. I once have my own business. I know what is it like. I went through the same thing, and this is why it's one of my top priorities. It shouldn't take 9 months to secure a license to open a business. It shouldn't take 4 months. So I will use again my peer from Nigeria as an example. They created a startup policy for all startups in Nigeria. The policy highlighted 2 things. This is why our payment gateway is so important. Unless and until we provide an ecosystem that enable small businesses, startup to rise, we're going to continue to struggle in this country. And let me tell you why. Because small business owners are the engine of economy of every country. Without small business, we cannot succeed. So this is why it is a high priority for our ministry. And for that reason, the government allows us to recruit 15 positions for our ministry to add to what we have. That would help us to expedite this policy. But also, this regulation cannot be implemented until we have a payment gateway. You know why? Because the way the Nigerians did it, if you are a startup, you start, let's say, we're in 2023. They have 2 models. Until you reach to 10 million in their money, tax is free. You don't pay taxes. Or you are a startup. You have 4 years or 3 years to build your company. But we want to know how much money you are making every year. Right now, most companies, if you go there, ask them, they have income statement. They'll give you one, but they have 4 different bank accounts. There is no way you can audit them properly to know this is their real income. But if you have the payment gateway, all transactions are done electronically, and you link all the bank to Treasury and link them together as well, then now we know that's why the digital ID card is also important, because this number follows you everywhere you go. So we will know how much money this company make gross. Once you leave this startup to get to 20 million or 10 million, whatever the number is agreeable with the government, now think about it. If you tax 10 million, it's more money for you than if you tax $500,000. So my sister, we are working on it. It's one of our high priority, but the payment gateway has to be in place. Thank you.
Let's take 2 or 3 more questions and then we call it a day. Any additional? And then you can always use it for reflecting accurate, information on your respective reports. I mean, we are an open government and then responsive, and then we'll always be organizing such interfaces regularly. And thank you very much, and we need the feedback.
Give it up.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Mr. Boy, Honorable Minister Jammeh, and fellow senior government officials, our guests from United States, the media. I would like to invite the Honorable Minister to make a concluding remark, and then we call it a day.
and for keeping you here for a couple hours. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. And this is the only way we can continue to work together to drive our country where it ought to be. One thing I want to emphasize for the citizens who are listening to us. Yes, they see us travel as ministers. Yes, I have traveled lately quite a bit, but I want to emphasize most of my travels when I came to the government was on a campaign for our candidate, Professor Ka, for our ITU candidate as a director. That was completed in September 2022. Since September 2022, we traveled only in 3 areas. We visited 3 countries. And I want to share with the citizen, all these countries we visited, actually 4, including Ethiopia. The government pay only for 2 of those visits to those countries. The rest of the other 2 countries, they observe the cost for me and some of my staff. Reason why I'm saying this, because sometimes perceptions, assumptions, people make it to reality when it's not. I recently went to Ghana in January. That trip was all paid by the invitee. We didn't pay a single penny. So you can count on this. When people sometimes think that ministers are traveling to acquire per diem, let me just share this with you. The hotel we stay as ministers average about $400 a night. And your per diem sometimes don't even cover it. So I don't want people to think that ministers are traveling, including myself, and taking government money. It is absolutely false. And our ministry, we have made it as a duty that when we are traveling, it would be something that is absolutely necessary for us to go. And only people who have expertise in that area will travel with me. Period. I traveled to 4 countries. What have we gained from this travel? From Mauritius, Nigeria, Rwanda, Ethiopia. We gain a lot. And I share with some of them in cabinet. Mauritius has a population of 1.3 million, which is less than the Gambia. What did I learn, or what did we learn there? We learned from Mauritius that they are very efficient in the way they run their government. We learned that they believe in collaboration. We learned that they are very disciplined. This is important. But we also achieve that they are willing to share what they have, their expertise, if we are interested. We have signed an MOU with Mauritius to share some of their expertise they have, and we like. We want to adopt. We went to Nigeria. What did we learn at Nigeria? In Nigeria, we see how they recruit. Every single staff we met in Nigeria has a master's degree or a PhD with minimum no less than 5 years experience in their field. Competency is an essence. Not only that, we learned they passed 17 policy within 3 years. And that's why I call Mr. Ibrahim Pantami my role model. It's the same thing we want to do here in the Gambia. We learn in Nigeria, they partner with Amazon. Guess what? Amazon is going to train 5 million Nigerians in the next 5 years on software development. And this year, 2023, they plan to train at least 1 million. Do you know when you have that capacity, that's an asset. The revenue it generates for your country is unbelievable. We went to Rwanda. What did we learn there? What did we get there? What did we brought back? We learned in Rwanda, everything has a plan. They plan every single thing they do. And they have a roadmap. They are not in a haste. We see their IFMIS system that they came to Gambia 20 years ago and studied this IFMIS system we have. Today, they develop their own and domesticate it, and they want to give it back to us. It's exciting, but we could have done it ourselves. But it's not too late. We will do it, and we'll do it with our developers. We learn in Rwanda, they establish discipline. We learn in Rwanda, they have an organization that drives every sector. Every sector in ICT has to go through that corporation. So I think some of these best practices we see in Rwanda with their regulator, with their, how to call it, ICT ministry, is something we want to pick and implement in our country. And guess what? Again, we signed an MOU with them to get this done. Nigeria, the same thing. I think the MOU is in still progress to be signed. So why these MOU are important? Because they agree on certain terms, we will collaborate with them and they will collaborate with us. So our travel in these countries, these are the outcome. When it comes to Ethiopia, we went to Ethiopia. What did we get there? First of all, we signed the AU Malabo Convention ratification that was sitting in 2 years collecting dust, number one. Number two, we were able to also get contact with one of the corporation. What is the name again? Help me. Yeah? ECA, with Malang Ba's help. So now I believe they are coming to the Gambia next week to collaborate with us in all these 5 pillars that I mentioned to all of you today. Some of them, we might work with them to try to help us implement this. So these are the things I believe that it's important for me to share with our citizens, with everybody who is watching today, that our travels are not just travel, go sit in a hotel. I think my staff will tell you, I walk them from 9 a.m. sometime till 10 in the night or 11. They would be, you can ask them, they're all here. So, and Joseph, I know one of them one time said to me, Honorable Ga, can we just take a day off tonight today? Can we not go reconvene? I said, no, not today. We have to do it next time. But anyway, these are things I believe we cannot work 8 to 5 and accomplish what we want to accomplish. There's no way. In my ministry, I make it very clear that you are here until the work is done. You can go home. This is the only way we can achieve our goals. 8 to 5 is not going to get us there. So again, thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful Friday and drive safe.
Thank you, Honorable, for that. Proactive disclosure, as we call it, is one of the key modus operandi of our government in terms of strategic communication. Thank you, and reach the various offices safely.
kibaru dima afelanata momurondi yalon ko febe siri Washington state le kono ibe do ko le woran do fe mantre do ko la sain ise apply ro kenole fenna ka fumuye working families tax credit me yalon ko ni sarto timmandi ise sutoro kenole membita kayen na fodola wuli killing keme fulola aha kan nyimbe damuta la February kro ti folole la 2023 sankono ando ni sarto timmandi ibe sutoro kenale nyim fengola nyimmanke juloti andu masakunda te intala fanan pour que mantora saka wato min nayti solata pour ka kayto nyini ila information o be kala fentile mi yalon ko abe tankala le andum fana be kisira dalilo me yinnati woren pour ka mol sembentu yandi mol min bulo me ko ben ndugo be Washington satele kono ni lafta kibaru ko yo seto lañu koto ise fero ke kumandiro ke wawakla 5
Good news. If you did and work in Washington state, you can apply for the new working family tax credit. And if you qualified, you can get up to $1,200. Yes, beginning from February 1st, 2023, you can ask for the new tax credit if you qualified. This is not the local tax credit where the governor of Washington state they give. It different from the one where the big government they give. It different from the one where the federal government they give. This no program war for grow the economy. Not to lend, not to trust that they trust you. And this not to something where they go use against you for where they go for any immigration benefits them. What do you they tell them? They go keep them for you safe and they go protect them for you. Even you know they can work, you can receive the money. If you want know more or you want get post where they help you, contact WAWAC